Thanks again for staying with us on the show. Lovely Monday morning. Okay, we're here now, and as is always the case, the question will center around what can be done to have a paradigm shift, to change the narratives in terms of the state of the economy, with projections, on the rise. The exchange rate is likely going to get to $1,500 in the days to come. We already know what prices of commodities are not stable. We just saw this morning that importers have stopped importing fuel. They are even proposing a 720 naira per litre. That certainly will add more pressure to the already strained economy. I'd like to welcome our panelist, Reverend Colonel Timothy Igodaro. Is an educationist and a public affairs commentator and analyst. It's always to meet you. It's always a delight to have you here, Reverend Timothy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers at home.
We also have with us here the director, Save the Next Generation organization, Pastor Nazareth Chukwemeka. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, viewers.
We have with us as well a public affairs commentator, political analyst, Fares Okberi. Thank you for joining us. We're expecting to be able to link up with Frank Yusun, who is an author and also a political analyst, to join us via Zoom. As soon as we're able to establish contact with him, he will be part of this conversation, which is starting off here in the Benin Network studio. We'll be linking up with our Abuja studio to continue the conversation. But let's get started. Let me begin with you, Reverend Colonel Timothy Igodaro. The realities today, as it relates to the economy, they are not one that one can say they are palatable. I mean, Nigerians are complaining every day. People are even finding it difficult to drive their cars because of the realities of some of the economic policies that have been brought forth. What's your assessment of these policies? And do you think that there is any silver lining as far as it is concerned?
As far as this economy is, the Nigerian economy is supposed to be large, strong, diversified, and is supposed to be technologically enabled. These are the aspirations of the Nigerian economy. But if you look at it today, that is not the case. Why is it like that? Because they have left, the government or those drivers of our economy have left quality assurance in the assessment process. So what now happens is that every known law, policies, procedure that need to be applied when a product is to be produced have been abandoned. So they are now going for cheap means of producing things. So when you do that, you lose your quality assurance. And that product will be what? Ineffective, inferior, not mobile, not efficient, not effective. These are what is happening now. You see, when you our government government is the hub of activities, is the hub. And when government decide to create policies that move away from quality assurance, this is what you get. In Benin, according to Edo people's philosophy, he said when a river is polluted from the source, the entire river will be polluted. So therefore, if government is ready to do this work and promote democracy, our economy will be strong again. Now, if you look at this present policy that brought this hardship, is the increase in PMS. Before now, diesel has not been, long ago, they have taken up their control over the pricing of diesel. So diesel goes up, it comes down. They say it's market forces. But the quantity of diesel consumed in Nigeria cannot be compared to the quantity of PMS being consumed. So therefore, there is a large requirement for PMS. So that petrol motor spirit, there is a large demand for it. And so when demand now becomes high, what will happen to the price? The price will eventually go up. But if government have done their work effectively, knowing fully well that the crude, God has blessed us with it in Nigeria. But when those local refineries here are going to buy crude, you say you must sell to them at international price. When you sell to them at international price, Who are you fighting for now? And the hardship is coming on Nigeria, buying at international price. Those people who don't produce crude, they buy at international price. And their citizens also buy the way we are buying. So what is now the difference? What are we talking about? You see, there is a fallacy here. There is a defect in reasoning in this issue. Now, let's look at it properly. We have some modular refinery on the ground at the moment, completed, ready to produce fuel. But those modular refineries are not taken care of in the allocation of crude. When they cried out, come and buy international price, have you linked them with a pipeline that is metered so you know the amount of crude you deliver each day to the refinery, so that at the end you will find out? But what is happening now, if for you to leave crude from Nigeria, use the port facility to load them, you pay for the port facilities. You transport them to foreign land, you pay for the transport facility. You refine them in foreign land, you pay for refining. You bring them back to Nigeria, you pay for transport, you pay for crude activities. This is what they have gathered together and telling us that the international price have risen. Supposing we refine in Nigeria, all those costs will be taken away. So the cost now is now coming back to Nigeria. Okay. Government don't want to pay subsidy. And therefore Nigerians will now pay the subsidy. What is government saying? He's shading away from his responsibility. Okay,
let me pause you there, Reverend. I'll come back to you in a moment. Pastor Nazareth, there are even projections that things could go worse. And I've heard people say it's as though government was a bit hasty in its decision in bringing forth these policies. And the free fall of the Naira and the spiraling effect of inflation perhaps points to that direction. Do you subscribe to this?
Yeah, the issue on this matter is already biting very hard. And of course, we all know that this is like putting the cart before the horse. Taking away the policy, the subsidy, and then without a concrete plan on ground to help the citizenry is why we are going through what we are going through now. And it's quite most unfortunate that in this, well, I say less than 10 weeks of this new government, in fact, I was watching a clip yesterday, and somebody was trying to produce how Nigeria looks like right now. On that clip, everything was going backward, vehicles backward, human beings were all going backward. And that's where we have found ourselves at this juncture. And you see, my fear in all of this is also because of my dealings with a lot of young people, and I hear what many of them are saying and where we are going with all of this. It's obvious that the word has said that if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail, is actually what is happening right now. I wish all these meetings and discussions going on taking place before this removal took place. Definitely, experts have said that when things like this happen, you need to expect within 6 months to 2 years for
the maturation period.
Yes.
Okay.
What you can call gestation period.
Okay.
So we have this. The way the whole thing is going, everybody has to brace up if except God intervenes in the whole thing. So for me, it's putting the cart before the horse, and that's why it's going the way it's going.
Okay. For us, you're familiar with some of these conversations, but this is something we've always wanted to do as a country, as a people. Even in previous administration, the conversations, they've always been centered around fuel subsidy removal, because from the instances on the ground, we pay for subsidies to even faceless individuals, massive corruption in that sector and all of that. Isn't this something we've always wanted to do?
Yes, it's something we always wanted to do, but the way the government have gone about it is shambolic, to say the least. You see, there are processes that you follow to achieve some certain goals. And my fear is that the government of the day did not think properly before it acted on removing fuel subsidy. You can't just come make a pronouncement on a national stage like that without even the previous administration said they paid subsidy till the end of June. You came in the early May or so, late May, and you just announced what happened to all the subsidy that was paid before the end of June. So the money was just left for the marketers and all of it.
But the subsidy had already been removed by the immediate past administration before the announcement.
They said they paid up till
June.
Okay.
And the president made an announcement
29th.
on the 29th of May, and then there was chaos everywhere. Price shot up, so nobody even monitored the amount of crude PMS that have been paid for, subsidy that have been paid for before the end of June. So I mean that's just on the wayside. But you look at it, there's no clear-cut policy direction for this government. No clear-cut policy direction. You said we're spending 400 billion naira every month on subsidy, and they want to save the money. Now, saving the money, what has the president put in place to say, okay, I'm going to put this in place to soften or to cushion the effects on Nigerians? Or let's invest this money on roads. You can't even travel. Look at all the federal roads. You can't go to Olugbo, you can't go to Warri, you can't go to Uromi, you can't go to Ekpoma, you can't go to Lagos. The Ovia Bridge is cut off. We are living in hell. Nigerians are suffering. You know, Nigeria is a keg of gunpowder right now, waiting to explode. You have millions of young people jobless, doing nothing. People who should be productive, who should be producing, who should be farming, who should be helping the economy to grow. They are all doing nothing. Then they are just waiting for a trigger. And when it happens, I'm sorry, I'm not here to incite anybody, but what we'll see,
you're something like a prophet of doom. Yeah, that's what it is.
You can say that, but that's the reality on ground right now. That's the reality on ground. Let's face it. I went to buy rice yesterday. A bag of rice now is almost 50,000 naira. That's the cheapest in the market.
Yeah.
That's the cheapest in the market. How can Nigerians survive? What is the salary of an average Nigerian, like a civil servant or somebody who works, even those who work in the government? What is the salary? If your salary cannot buy a bag of rice for a month, then they talk about the cost of petrol. Talk about even the cost of traveling or even moving around. What it will cost you before to go from Benin to Uromi or Benin to Ekpoma is what you now cost you to go from Isiyo to just Ring Road or Saple Road. Before now it's about 800 naira from Benin to Ekpoma. Now it's about 700 just from this place to First Junction. So and there's no increase in salaries. There's no support to families. There's nothing. We have refineries. The refineries are obsolete. The former president rushed into commissioning the Dangote refinery when it was not even ready to produce anything. They are just taking Nigerians as people they can just play with every time. Every government comes in, does the same thing and leaves. Every government comes in, does the same thing and leaves, as if these people does not matter. And look at what happened in 2020 with the NSAS thing. It was just a little trigger. And the government was even lucky at that time that it was restricted to only some part of the southern state. If it was nationwide, the government would have collapsed. How would they have survived that kind of uprising? And then they are pushing Nigerians. I think Nigerians doesn't matter. Young people do not matter in this country. Nothing will happen. You know, we know them. Nothing will happen. And they are going to that extent again, where Nigerians will rise up and the hunger, because when people are hungry, people are desperate. You all saw it. You saw it in SARS. Okay, but
you also know that once a new policy comes, there's a gestation period. There's a time for maturation. I mean, isn't it too early for people to begin to talk about making it sound like the government is not doing anything when there's already a policy initiative on the ground?
The government is not doing anything, sir. Let me just put it very clear to you. I'm not here to miss work. The government is not doing anything. Now, let's look at if the government was serious. To start with, the government will come out and reduce the cost of governance. The one big problem we have in Nigeria is cost of governance. You can have where you budget money for your budget, over 30 or 40% is used to service government officials at the federal, at the state, and the local levels. The president is running nine private jets. Most of the MDAs, they are MDAs that should be doing the same thing. They just divide them and they are doing nothing. So if the government was serious to say, okay, we want to show Nigerians that we mean business, let's start by reducing the cost of governance. Okay. We can't be budgeting 200 million naira for the president to cut his hair, or you budget 3 billion to service the Aso Rock clinic when the president doesn't even use it. And Nigerians are suffering. Many of them have no access to basic facilities. Many Nigerians do not have access to basic facilities. There are no roads. Even in the states. Many of the state governments are doing nothing. Local governments are not existent in Nigeria today. The state governments are not interested in how the people are faring. The federal government is not concerned.
Okay, let me push you there, Fares. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let me, Reverend Colonel Timothy, quickly talk to us about government response. There's a video that trended for some time from the Senate, hallowed chambers of the Senate, where the Senate president unconsciously was telling his colleagues about some alerts that have gone into their accounts for their holidays. And he retracted that statement, he redacted that statement, but it's gone there, it's already in the public space. People have described this as the height of insensitivity, but wasn't that provided for in the Constitution? Wasn't that provided for by the enabling laws, as it were? Reverend?
Yes, I was telling you, I said, when you fail to apply all the laws and regulations in the production process of a product, that product will become inferior. That is what we are seeing in the National Assembly. You see how leadership emerges in the National Assembly is who you know that gives you leadership, not your intellectual capacity, not your ability to derive what is essential for the good of all. So because of that, now, who fixes salary for the National Assembly? Who fixes their salary? But for the civil servant, 30,000 naira for minimum wage went to National Assembly and it was approved. Who fixed their own? Nobody fixed their salary. Now we are going on a short break. You call it a holiday. That's the name, that what was used there. So this is what we are going to get. It's on the public domain what he paid them for them to enjoy a holiday as if they are school children. So you begin to see the level of intellectual capacity that is emerging from the National Assembly. You will weep for this country. Two, as we are saying, when you want to do a policy, you prepare for it. Nobody is going to build a house without counting the cost first. If not, you will put yourself in a quagmire because you didn't do any planning. Planning has no limitation. In vocational assessment, before you assess, you must do planning. So when we analyze the SWOT analysis, that is the strength, limitation, opportunity, and threat of the various assessment methods, you find planning outstanding. It's the only one that has no limitation. So therefore, if the Nigerian government has planned before taking a decision, you see, in the economy, economy is very complex. It is very complex. The rate of change of the economy is complex too. So when you make a foul statement, you know, no more subsidy, the subsidy era is gone. That's how it was said, as if we are talking to kindergarten. Then, without wasting time, the NNPC came and gave 500 and something naira
per liter.
Per liter. That man that announced it, how was he selected? NNPCs have moved from being a government corporation to a limited liability company. So, leadership, how was the selection process? What interview did Melek attend? What were his competitors? So that he comes and begins to dish out policy. That government is owing NNPC 2.something trillion. Without paying subvention, without paying demand for the national account. It does not remit any money to the federation account. That what went with the former government. But today, we are taking the effect. Not quite long again, he came out on that policy. It's now 600. And he's already touting, it's going to increase because the people they are dealing with are the people they want to die. But Nigerians will not die. We will survive.
Okay. All right. Let me proceed there, Pastor Nazareth. Quickly share with us, I mean, the seeming insensitivity, as some would say, of policies and government in terms of response to the people to checkmate all of this. We've heard about some of the initiatives. At the beginning of this whole conversation, national conversation on fuel subsidy removal, there were plans to reach out to the poorest of the poor with palliatives. When we concentrate all our complaints and criticisms at the doorsteps of the federal government, are we being fair? What about the state governments? What are they doing? What about the local government? Aren't they supposed to have a policy framework to ameliorate the plights of Nigerians?
Pastor Sonny, the truth of the matter is that there's a very serious disconnect in this whole issue. The insensitivity to the plight of the citizens is very, very high. They don't care about all this we are talking about. They are planning palliatives. As far as I'm concerned, there is no plan. As far as I'm concerned, where is the data analysis to know the poorest of the poor? So as far as I'm concerned, I am not seeing any plan on ground. You know, let me at this juncture beg the government, because like I mentioned when I was talking before on the issue of my dealings with young people, and I'm like one of our panelists here said, I am afraid of what is coming. When you hear listen to some of those people and all this, that you will know that there is something heavily coming. And we are not talking about being prophet of doom. We're just looking at the reality on ground. I was listening to the Zambia president recently, and he said he was the House of Assembly, they were asking for V8 kind of vehicle or whatever. He told them, if you have the money, go and buy. We can't use the taxpayers' money to buy V8 for you. They brought something to him, I think he said $1.something billion to sign so that all the vehicles in the presidency, whatever, be changed. He said, those ones there, because that will say a few days to his being sworn in. Are they working? They said yes. So I'm going to use them. So this is a government that have the citizenry at heart. We're here talking about a government that, despite all that we are going through, it looks as if you are just talking. It looks as if, just like one of our panelists said, they're just looking at us as, yesterday we were having a meeting, a council meeting. We have once in a while because there's a way we run our church here. And then we are discussing, this is a meeting that we meet once in a year where we bring all our brethren together in Benin, and we eat together and enjoy. But yesterday, it came to a point where the leadership was like, let's remove food for the first time. No food this time. Everybody should cook at home. If you have anything, cook.
I cook at it as well.
Abba. Why? The costs tripled.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
It's a big question.
You look at the, sir, and I beg the government, let the next gen breathe, though. Because what they are planning, there is a complete giving up. I'm talking about even teenagers, secondary school children. I'm talking about secondary school children.
Let me pause you there. I'll come back to you. Just before we bring Fares on board again, let's quickly link up with Frank Ahiosun. Is an author and also a political analyst. Frank, quickly talk to us about some of these stark realities of the day in terms of the economic hardship Nigerians are facing. Is there any model you think can be adopted right now, or as it always the case, we allow the policy to mature? Do you even think there's a policy in place in the first place?
Well, it's an uninteresting voyage. It's unfortunate that these tales seem to be repeated on and on and on and on in this country, and it's not a good trajectory. So talking about the model. You can be thinking of a model that could be adopted when primarily consistency is the missing ingredient. Consistency and discipline is a missing ingredient in government's character traits. The other discussants have highlighted very vital points on what has happened thus far. You don't take somebody to the theater to commence operation after cutting the person up and all such procedures before you opt for anesthesia so the person will not feel the pain. From the outset, the models, the policies are disruptive. I want to take us back a little because unfortunately it's not too different from what happened in 1986. Go and check out when IBB commenced the so-called SAP policy, as it were.
I mentioned a while ago that the emphasis on what the federal government is not doing is that a fair analysis of the situation without recourse to the state's contribution, local government contribution as well.
Well, the thing is that in Nigeria today there are virtually no local governments. They are appendages of the states. So, and gone are those days where you used to have local government function the way they're supposed to function. So let's just rule out the issue of the local governments. And then coming to the states, because I was reading yesterday that the state governor of Kebbi State was gave the local government chairman, 21 of them in Kebbi State, almost 700 million naira to buy furniture. You know, these are the kind of things that you see many of the states governments doing. Now, my biggest worry also for the federal government is that the current president has also, look at his cabinet now, they are made up of, many of the people who he has appointed are former governors who have nothing, absolutely nothing. I looked at the CV of the governor of Zamfara State. I was almost shedding tears. You know, these are people who should have no business in governance, no business at all. Now, somebody who was completely rejected in his state is now a minister. You know, also, you look at the caliber of people that the president has surrounded himself with, and there's no hope. Look at when Obasanjo came in 1999. He went shopping around the world for the best Nigerians, brought in the Soludos, brought in the Frankie Wike Juniors, tried to bring it up who had value to the government. You know, and
go on.
Okay, and right now, you see the caliber of people who this government has brought in are people who are retired in their states, who many of them have been rejected by the people in their own states. And because of their loyalty to the president, he has appointed them, not because they have anything, they have value to bring in. There's the kind of government that you look at, you say, okay, I'm expecting that you see this kind of people, you see the likes of, maybe you see the likes of NOI, you know, and you see the kind of, you'll be optimistic. I say, okay, these are people who, in the world, they have proven themselves.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about they've proven themselves. When you look at the state level as well, look at many of the governments. They're not interested. Many of them are not even in the state. They don't even stay in the state. They just come in and live, particularly in the northern part of Nigeria. They just come in, they live in Abuja, they just come in, do like 1 week and they go back to Abuja and that's it. There's a total disconnect between the people and the government. The government in Nigeria today does not care about the people. I'm not talking about only the federal government at all. All spectrums of government in Nigeria do not care about the Nigerian people.
Okay.
When you care about the Nigerian people, you see the attitude of governance will change.
All right, let me get Frank on board. Frank, yes, quickly establish the points you are making. Yeah.
I was just driving home a fundamental point that this route is unfortunately the route that this country is seeking for so long a time, where leadership opts to do things without setting the pace properly, without the right example. It's a case of modeled up policies. In putting forth a policy for a nation state, there must be critical thinking, accommodating all possibilities. The effect, both short, medium, and long term. But from the issue of subsidy removal. So harmonization of the foreign exchange that we operate. Another policy that this government has put forth so far. It is a jumbled up process. Now, starting from subsidy removal. If you want to remove subsidy, the question is this. It's not about the removal of subsidy that is an issue. It is the justice of the process. If less than 0.01% of the country's population is responsible for subsidy racketeering and all the criminality that has been ongoing for majority of us in our over 99.so% to be suffering, should you not punish the overwhelming majority? Why the infinitesimal few are swimming in the pool of luxury without any consequence? That in itself diminishes the import of that policy from the outset, because government is taking the executive route. It's government that protects the borders. We pay taxes for custom officers and border relevant agencies to guard our borders. That is why it is being taken away on and on and on. The so-called fear they say they take to other parts of the other countries. But funny enough, that is quite infinitesimal. The major challenge is that government is punishing people for our incompetence. If you knew we were going to remove subsidy, what will it take to ensure that the effect is reduced by concomitant policies before you start implementing the so-called policy on subsidy removal? Let's not forget that in view of subsidy removal, this same APC government from the past, under Buhari, the CBN earmarked about 250 billion naira to ensure that there is easy conversion of vehicles to CNG cars from the usual fuel cars that we have, fuel engines. It was in 2020. Government earmarked that by 2021, 1 million vehicles will have been converted for ease of policy implementation so that people can go. This is 2023. Government failed in that. No address is made on that note, but the people are meant to bear the brunt in totality.
Okay.
Today, is import dependence. It is such a shame that all government has in Nigeria. Go to Abuja, the headquarters of Nigerian government. Everything within the government corpus, the seats they use, the curtains, the tables, the chairs, everything is imported. This same government, in a fair to just harmonize the foreign exchange rates, and today, just like some experts predicted less than 3 weeks ago, that this CBN will soon resume the concept of managing the exchange rate, because that policy was made without thinking of the effects, rather than ensuring that it is done in sequence. It's so painful.
Okay.
I was watching the media broadcast by Bakari yesterday in his church. See the list on and on and on of criminality, how government money is stolen. What pains me more in this stuff is that, do you know that this subsidy that he removed very quickly on the 29th of May, it would have taken nothing. Just loot, recover from one out of the millions of people that looted this country dry. Would have been enough to pay for subsidy for Nigerians to have some safe landing before the possibility takes full effect, maybe for 3 months or to the end of the year. But that is not prioritized. Government finds it easy to punish people, to punish the citizens.
All right, Frank. Let me pause you here for a moment. I will bring you on shortly before we close this segment of the discussion. Reverend Colonel Timothy, we're here now. What is possible in terms of addressing this issue? Because the reality is what we are grappling with now. There's been some conversation about palliatives, which is something that, if properly addressed, could help to tackle the problem. But there's also the issue of corruption in dealing with these palliatives. I mean, I'm just seeing some billions of naira that have suddenly gone into the wind. There's a talk about a 75 billion naira youth investment fund. There's talk about some billions of naira that have gone into the wind within the aviation sector, and some helicopters or so. I mean, it's growing. The list is growing. What's your take on this?
Okay, that is very simple. You see, government palliative cannot ameliorate what is happening now. It's another channel of siphoning revenue from the government purse. Because there is no laid down statistics. Let me ask you something. When our mother gives birth to, who registers them? Is it not the National Population Commission? Now, when it came to identity, where did we go to get our identity card? It's a different body again. From the person who is registering death, who is registering birth. Is it not the national population? But that is the corruption in this country. Now, for the palliative, there is no palliative there. If you want to only have a palliative, with palliative deal with government employees, you increase salary, you put buses on the line. Do I use buses? How many do you have? If you go to London when we were schooling there, the bus stop will tell you another bus is coming in 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, it will say delay. After then, you look up, you see the bus coming. If it is filled up, it tell you another one is coming. Is that the type they want to give to us? Or they want to buy 2 buses, one at Oluku, then one at Saplero Junction. They will cross each other on the way. You say you have palliative. You see, let us be reasonable here. Our economy is to be technologically enabled. It's not grammatically enabled. It's not philosophically enabled. So let me tell you, for instance, I told you just now that we have a modular refinery in let's say Bender State. If that is rehabilitated and put into production, PMS will drop. All these costs will go around all area of the economy. Number 2, how many refineries do we have? We have 4. The government have never planned one day to refine. Instead, they went to go and buy $2.5 billion US share, 20% in Dangote refinery. That is all comatose. Since any business Dangote enter, the price is always going up. Since he started producing cement, what is the cost of cement? If cement is imported from outside, it will be cheaper than Dangote.
These are based on market forces.
Yes, market
the forces
forces.
of demand, the supply, production forces, and all of that.
Yes.
You factor that into whatever output that you're bringing for. So it's not about him going into the business and then the price goes up.
Okay.
We are not factoring in the fact that many of the raw materials that are component parts in these productions, they are imported and is subject to the vagaries of the dollar.
Excuse me, let me tell you one thing. There's nothing imported in the production of cement. The 3 things you use in cement: limestone, we have them in Okwila. Gypsum, let's leave gypsum, then clay. We have them, they are producing tiles in Benin here. We have surplus clay. These are the 2 ingredients for the production of cement. The only thing you now add is gypsum. Why do you add gypsum? Because setting time. If you are working in River Nile and you want your cement to set quickly, you add more gypsum. If you are working in our area, we don't want it to set, so that if there are error, we can easily correct them. We add a little. That is what is produced in the others are machine. When you import machine, do they go back in a year? They don't go bad in a year. They work for years and there's maintenance. So the price of cement is supposed to go down, but it's not going down. Nobody is regulating that area. Now you are bringing petrol now. When it was commissioned, you are putting that. What I want to tell you that the 500 billion they said they want to use for palliative, let them turn it to Warri Refinery and repair Warri Refinery and make it function and let people begin to move. Do you know all those tanker drivers who come to Warri to lift fuel? They have a time they give to them. While they are waiting, where do they sleep? What do they eat? Mama put in that Warri will be booming. We'll be able to pay school fees for his children. We'll be able to meet all their financial requirements. Because those tanker drivers and their assistants, they must eat until their loading time. When they load, they are going from Warri to Kaduna. Do you know they stop by restaurant to eat too? So this is how the economy begin to wake up and thrive. So for you to say selected people, how do you come about that? And want to do there's nothing like palliative. If they want to increase salary, it's for government workers. That is federal, state, and local government. What of the pensioners? Are they also increasing the pension? Those who are already on a monthly pension, are they going to increase it? No, they continue on that line. So what we are trying to say here is that let's take the bull by the horn.
In taking the bull by the horn, exactly what do you do?
What you do, one, the owner of this studio place men and women in charge. And they are not his relations. They are not his brothers or sisters. And charge them, this is what I expect. If you don't do it, it will take you out and bring new people in. Why should our refinery go down? How many years are they? General Obasanjo built some of them. He's still alive. In the life of an ordinary man, what a general when he built them.
Okay.
So the government should revive all our refineries.
Okay.
Let them be producing. Let me tell you one secret. The quantity of PMS produced by this refinery cannot be consumed by Nigeria. Many of them, half of them will be exported and it will yield revenue.
All right. Fares, quickly, talk to us. What is the way out?
Well, the way out is, I think the government needs to look at the economy, look at Nigerians, and find a proper solution that will work in terms of investments. Because I'm not too much of a fan of governments putting money into building refineries by themselves, because government in Nigeria has shown that they are not good at doing what the private sector should do. So what the government needs to do is try to strengthen the private sector. Look at the banks today. Look at what happened when Obasanjo came in. The banks were in shambles and all of that. You put money in your bank, you are so scared of the bank failing.
Yeah.
Then when Soludo came in, he recapitalized the banks. And the banking sector in Nigeria today is one of the fastest growing in the whole of Africa. Okay. You have banks everywhere, you have branches everywhere, you have hundreds of thousands of people employed in the Nigerian banking system. We can do that with other sectors of the economy, with agriculture, with avenues that we empower young people. Okay. Because we are a country of over 40% of our population are young people, and that is a ticking time bomb. We have so many young people. They shouldn't be on the road selling pure water and selling gala. No, these are people who should be in farms producing, who should be in factories manufacturing. Working. Putting their energy that they have now. Because in 30, 40 years, many of these people you are seeing, they will be old. So you have millions of people who will be old at that time. So how do you cater for how many they don't have pensions? Right. So the government right now needs to invest in strengthening the private sector, providing jobs. It's not the government cannot provide jobs, but the private sector can provide those jobs. Look at the refinery we're talking about. Find ways to bring in private investments for this refinery so the refineries can work. You can either build, get private people to build new ones, or fix the existing, or sell them. Okay. So those who will use them to produce here, so we stop exporting crude and importing refined products.
All right, quickly, Mr. Nazar, what's your way? I mean, you're so concerned about the plight of young people. What's your take on finding a way out of this?
First, the government should invest a lot in education. I'm afraid what's going to happen next month, from my interaction with a lot of young people and parents, I don't know how many young people that will be able to go back to school. And that's going to cost a lot of menace. We already have millions of dropout children, not talk of what is going to happen in September. So, I visited Abidjan, Ivory Coast, the other time, and when I saw their budgetary allocation in education, oh my goodness. You can now see, even I also went to Accra and all of that, and you could see why those nations, African nations, are moving up. And there's nothing to write home about concerning the budget allocation for Nigeria, Nigerian children. Okay. Now, number two, let me quickly also add that, like one of our panelists here said, he mentioned it in the first time when he was talking. The cost of governance, I don't want to say it should be slashed. It should be reduced to like 70, 75 or 80% be cut off from what they are using right now to run the whole thing, like what the Senate president said the other day. What kind of insensitivity is all of that? So the cost of governance should be drastically cut off, slashed completely. And finally, let me also mention the issue of let the government provide infrastructure on the issue of light and road. Okay. We have Nigerian youth that have brain. Yeah. Just give them light, give them nice road. Okay. They will take care of the rest.
All right, Frank, I know you're still there with us. One final word from you, Frank Yusu.
Yeah, in my kind of opinion, like I said earlier, the word of Abbasias. Example is not the main thing that places others. Example is the only thing. Government should lead by example. Okay. Government, like my coach is one of them just now. The backbone of any economy is energy. Nigeria presently, by current statistics, has the worst electricity supply in the world. They overtook Congo about 2 years ago in terms of electricity supply. Government should prioritize such areas while cutting down corruption by all means and ensuring the ease of doing business. Okay. Even our people that produce here, if you want to export, all because of bottlenecks and the corruption. That's overwhelms us on every front.
All right.
It's very unfortunate.
Thank you, Frank. Frank, thank you. If I had more time, probably will let you add more to the points that you have raised. Thank you so much, Frank Ehiosun.